So, hello to everybody, and I hope you have good days, last few days, since we saw last time. And here the weather is now really pleasant and not windy and also not so much rain, and not therefore there's no humid, there's no heat or anything like that. So very pleasant. And as you have heard, in terms of the coronavirus, the most of the Indian states, they relax almost all the lockdown, the rules, including the state Karnataka state. But some states seems they are struggling. Number is going up. But same in here, the situation is same. We still, keeping our monks not to run away. And the monks who are coming back to the monastery, they had to stay in quarantine for 14 days. So far, it's all right within the samsara. Okay, and also I'm well. So that is just brief, information in terms of the current situation. Now we will go back to the our reading. And as you know, our reading, last time we started reading this very nice prayer within the 8 prayers, which is, as I mentioned the other day, Melam Nam Ge, that means 8 prayers. And this is the second, the first one, traditionally in the Gelug monasteries, those 8 prayers are, recited. And usually the king of the prayer is the first, then this is the second. And these 2 prayers are coming from the Sutra Etta, as I mentioned the other day. So this, the Chambe Melam, it is called Chambe Melam. First of all, as I mentioned the other day, the Chamba, that is, when it refers to the mind, it refers to the love, loving kindness. And quite often that is also refers, that term Chamba in Tibetan, in Sanskrit, Maitreya, is also refers to the, the Buddha and Bodhisattvas and so on and so forth, which I mentioned the other day. I will not repeat that again. And here, Chambe Melam, prayer by or prayer of the, Maitreya Bodhisattva, and it refers to the Bodhisattva, and I mentioned those things. And it is in the collection of the sutras translated from Sanskrit into Tibetan, and these sutras, there are 108 volumes. They are in a different groups, and this sutra, this prayer is in the group of sutra, which is called in Tibetan Kunchok Sekpa, Do Kunchok Sekpa. Sutra Kunchok literally it means supreme rare, or so in other words, there are, I can't remember, 8 volumes of sutra, Mahayana Sutras, called Kunchok Sekpa. Sekpa means stack, literally it means stacking up. So I don't know the Sanskrit name of the sutra, so this sutra is within that. And in here it clearly stated. I'm reading the commentary on this by this great Tibetan teacher called Jetsun Drakpa Shedrup. Jetsun Drakpa Shedrup, one of a great, the teachers, I think in maybe 16th or 17th century. I don't know exactly, who wrote many great texts. And also the Ceremony monks also use his commentaries to study ornamental clay realization and also some other important topics. And he, in his, this commentary on this prayer, and he said this sutra is where's that one? Kunjo yeah, in that sutra called Kunjo Tsekpa, in that sutra, it has within that, this prayer comes in the 41. How do you say in English? That chapter 41. So that is the anyway, not that important. Just let you know. And there are some nice stories which I will not go into detail on that. And that Ananda, remind that sutra in front of the Buddha. So that is how. So our reading last time we finished, the first two verses, and according to this commentary, entire prayer is divided into two sections, which I thought is quite nice to do that. And the two sections. The first section is explaining or engaging in the seven limb prayers, and after doing the seven limb prayers, then those seven limb practices or seven practices are in a part of dedication to become the causes to attain enlightenment, to experience enlightenment. In that part, the six perfections are explained. So the entire prayer is divided into two, and our reading is in the first part. And out of the seven practices, starting from normal, what you call the normal sequence, what you hear, the sound, this happens regularly. And Serge and Me, there are two tractors and go around to collect the rubbish, And the monks or the ex-monks who drive the tractors, they are young, energetic, and they will drive as fast as possible. So trailer, unlike in the other part, trailer doesn't have good shock absorber, and it makes all these sounds, very dramatic sounds. That's what is happening. And luckily today they don't, horn. Sometimes they horn this, woo, and it's just like in a jungle. Anyway, that's what you have heard. That's also the Seven Monasteries oral transmission. Okay, so out of the seven in this prayer, the first part is Maitreya, Bodhisattva Maitreya, the make prayer with the seven practices. And out of seven, the offerings and the dedications are not that much elaborated, but others are, sometimes one complete one verse, sometimes two verses, and occasionally there are summary and so forth. So now we are reading that, the first part of the prayer, that is the seven prayer. And our last reading, out of the seven practices, the first practice, the sequence has slightly different. And here is the the prostrations. So first two verses are prostrations, and the prostrations are offered. In the first verse, to the Buddha or Buddhas, fully awakened beings, and the bodhisattvas, and hearers, those individual liberation seekers, and also indirectly solitude realizers. And that is the first meaning of the first verse. In Tibetan, as I've mentioned, Sanje Gunla Chatse, prostrate to all the Buddhas, all the awakened beings, Sanje Gunla Chatse. Tangsong Hami Dembai Chanju Samba Namdaya. Tangsong Hami Dembai Chanju Samba. The bodhisattvas who have these qualities of the skills to see, to understand precisely, the needs of the sentient beings. Hami, that here the translated God's eyes. It's referring to those, those skills and those abilities to see, to understand precisely the needs of the living beings. So also make prostrations to the hearers and the solitude realizers. That's the first verse. And the second verse is making prostrations to the bochicitta, which we already done that. And why the reason here why make the prostrations to the bochicitta, because the later part, after engaging in seven practices, the main activity or main purpose is to dedicate, to offer those practices, to experience the full enlightenment. So in order to understand, that is the purpose of, the engaging in the seven practices. The purpose of engaging in seven practices is, to attain or to experience full enlightenment. For that purpose, then according to the Drakpa Shedrup's commentary, and that is why here they make the prostrations to the bodhicitta, and they're similar to. There are, of course, we can look at it, also some other reasons why they make offerings, make prostrations to the bodhicitta. For example, when this great Indian master Chandrakirti, when he wrote amazing text, which is called Entering into the Middle Way, the Madhyamika Avatara, he made prostrations to the great compassion. And the reason he make prostrations to the great compassion is the seeds, seeds of the bodhisattva's, training. And the great compassion is like in the middle when the bodhisattvas are in the training, in the engagement. The training is like those waters and the moistures and the what you call the fertilizers, the seeds to grow. And it is great compassion is important in the middle, and great compassion is very important at the end, when the bodhisattvas attain full enlightenment. They due to the great compassion, they engage in activities to help living beings. So because of that, great compassion is important at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. Then he said, pay homage to the great compassion. And I think it's similar to here, the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, as the prayer itself, says, but when we cultivate bodhicitta, that cultivation of bodhicitta will close the door to be born in a low, unfortunate rebirth. When we have bodhicitta, then that is the starting the path to take fortunate rebirth, stage by stage, and eventually Gashimeva Tenjive, bodhicitta will lead us to experience the deathless. In other words, the great enlightenment. So, and also Shantideva said very nicely, in his guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. Dine dute mission digenum, kiji chiki never separate. Like bodhicitta in the end of the first chapter in the guide to the Bodhisattva way of life, the Shantideva says, the bodhicitta is like the powerful fire which will consume entire world, which will end the world. It is like the bodhicitta is like that kind of powerful, the fire to consume never separate all those within a what you call it, within a second, all the non-virtues, all the unwholesome deeds or deeds are consumed by the having bodhicitta like that. So that is bodhicitta. And as you know, many of you have, I'm sure, have studied bodhicitta. Is to cultivate bodhicitta, as I already mentioned when we are reading the other texts. It is not just prayer. Just prayer, may I have a bodhicitta. We have to train our mind. We have to train our mind to reduce the self-centered mind. Self-centered mind. Traditionally, those techniques, such as the equalizing and exchanging oneself with others, the very clearly mentioned and taught by like in the Shantideva's text in the 8th chapter, around verse 90 or 91, and they very detailedly explained, or some of other techniques. So really, really important to, not to stay all the time, not to stay in a level of just prayer. Need to work, need to train our mind and use those, classical techniques. The point is, whatever technique that we use, need to tackle the self-centered mind and to nurture, to enhance mind thinking, concerning, and working for the sake of others. And that is, if that is happening, then it doesn't matter which technique that we use. Traditionally, those great experienced masters taught technique, or something that, the combination, whatever. So very, very important. There are two technically called two aspirations, two yearnings need to be nurtured. The yearning to experience full enlightenment, and the yearning to benefit all living beings, yearning for working for the sake of all living beings. And the second one is the key point. Experiencing full enlightenment. Attaining full enlightenment is not the end product. It is the means. End product must be to work to benefit others. If we have a strong yearning to attain full enlightenment, and that yearning is not supported or not combined with the second yearning, then we will not count that as a bodhicitta. It's very clearly, very, very clearly mentioned by those great teachers again and again and again. For example, in the ornament of clear realization, Maitreya said, "Semje pani shendunshil, yangda zobe changjukde." Semjeba, generating bodhicitta or having bodhicitta. Semje pani. What is that bodhicitta? Pani, shendunshil, shenji tundu che, for the sake of others. Yangda zobe changjukde. To have an aspiration, to attain full enlightenment. Very, very in the 2 lines, very clearly defined. So important to remember that. So here, that is the second verse. This already we have done. I've just added a little bit here and there. Now today, our reading is start from the verse 3. So I'll read in the English translation. Controlled by negative habits. In the sight of the Buddha, I have often given harm to others. I shall confess those actions. So that is the verse 3 in English translation. And in Tibetan, now my interpretation will go with the Tibetan translation, Tibetan text. Okay. Oh yeah, just one I forgot to say, because the first 2 verses are out of the 7 practices is prostration. So what is prostration? Which I haven't said that. So what is prostration? And because of course it comes from the Indian tradition, and it is in Sanskrit it is called namo, nama or nama. Yeah, that is, and namo have this kind of and what is that meaning of? What is that? It is meaning of saying respect. Having respect, duba in Tibetan, duba. So how respect, feeling, or that mind or mental state, how the mental state of respect will grow within ourselves. So to have a respect to the Buddha, to the bodhicitta, to the bodhisattva, it will grow. Respect will grow when we understand their qualities. It is not the culture. It is not some kind of custom or tradition. It will grow within ourselves. Respecting others, or say that, for example, I respect their rights. Why you respect their rights? We understand that they, what you call the needs, their qualities, and so on and so forth. And it's similar, exactly the same in here. When we say, I offer my prostration, what you're doing here, physically, traditionally bowing, verbally saying, saying nice prayers, praises, and mentally, really have a deep sense of admiration, and these are the respect. And it will grow, have respect, genuine respect will grow when we see their qualities. In this case, the qualities of the Buddhas, qualities of the Bodhisattvas, qualities of the hearers and the solitude realizers, and the qualities of the bodhicittas. And then the actual prostration will come. Otherwise, prostration is like a just habit or culture or a custom. Not very much spiritually, not very much useful. Not very much useful. So I was going to say that. I forgot. So now, what's happening? Now today the third verse is just I read in English. Now in Tibetan, semgi wangdu gyurbena dage digwa chikiba sanje chengar chinesu dage teda shakbar ki. So that is the confessing the negativities. Semgi wangdu gyurbena. So the saying due to the under the power of the mind, semgi wangdu gyurbena. Due to the under the power of the mind, thoughts and emotions. In this case, minds, thoughts, emotions are referring to those unhealthy, those destructive, those mistaken minds, thoughts, emotions, referring to them, not the virtues, not the wholesomes. Those unwholesome, non-virtue, those men. We are being under the power of those unwholesome minds. Due to that, I act. Dage dikpa chikiba. Dak means I, dikpa, non-virtuous, unwholesome. Chikiba, whatever unwholesome, and whatever non-virtue that I have committed in the past, committing now, or may commit in the future. Dage dikpa chikiba. Sanje jengar chine so. So, here, Sanje Jengar Cheneso. Sanje, here again, awakened beings, Jengar in front of the, awakened beings. Or another meaning, that awakened beings are aware of my, those unwholesome actions that I have committed under the power of those, non-unwholesome minds. So in front of the fully awakened beings, dagi, by me, dida shakparki, all these, that's a plural, shakparki, I will confess in front of the fully awakened beings or Buddhas. That is the third line. Now, as you know, and I already said this relatively long in one of the other texts that we are reading. The confessing, to confess, to really do another term is called purification. To really to take place, actual purification, actual confessing non-virtues take place within ourselves, and make that practice to work. Those 4 powers should be present. The power of foundation, and in here, we're talking about Buddhist practice like the refuge, bochicitta, or strong compassion. Those very powerful positive mind as the foundation. That's the first power. Second power is power of regret. By knowing, by acknowledging, by understanding the mistakes are made under the power of those non-virtuous minds, knowingly or unknowingly, and at the same time understanding those unwholesome actions have consequences. That understanding strong, unfallible connection between the cause and effect, law and cause of effect. And that, with that understanding, then the regret. Why regret? Because consequences, first of all, consequences are painful while we are creating the negativities to ourselves and in many occasions to the others. When we engage in unwholesome actions that directly or indirectly causes pain and difficulty to ourselves and also other, their lives, their environment, their possessions, their status, their emotions, their minds, their feelings, while we are creating the negativities. And the consequences that may going to experience, tomorrow or next year or next decade, or may experience sometime in the next life or life after. But consequences are definite, and understanding that, then cultivating deep sense of regret. That's the second power. And the third power is power of application of antidotes, like a strong understanding of emptiness, strong understanding of selflessness, understanding of impermanence, love, compassion, altruism, bringing those mental states which counteracts, which really, what you call the, counteracts, or, if I use that word, which is not a very nice word, I will use that, finds with those negative minds, those unwholesome minds. And those are the real actual antidote. And that's the third power. And the fourth power is power of determination not to repeat those actions again. And the confessing, purification must be done with these, 4 powers. Of course, just having one power is amazingly useful. But no doubt, if we have those 4 powers, then the purification will work. We already done that, and I will just repeat part of this text. So that is the verse. In terms of the verse number 3. In terms of the 7 practices, the second practice so far, prostrations and confessing the negativities. Now, then the next verse is the combination of 2, and out of the 7, So next verse, which I'll read here. Yet from the beneficial actions of my body, speech, and mind, I pray that the merit generating the seeds of omniscience may never be exhausted. May I further accomplish this accumulation of merit by performance of the three actions, body, speech, and mind. Anyway, so this is how they translate it, and so I will give the commentaries, reading the the word in Tibetan. So in terms of the verse 4, dagle nampa sum kanki sonam some jeba de dagi kunjin sabun de dagla chamjuk mise sho. So, this, like the first two lines out of the 4 lines in this verse, first two lines are saying, dagle nampa sum kanki. So say, my actions of the body, speech, and mind. Nampa sum, that means the 3. The 3 virtues, virtues from the body, speech, and mind. So that sonam that quite often translated saying merit of accumulation. Sometimes the merit is explained in the 2 merit of accumulation, merit of merit. So there are 2. So in other words, what these 2 lines are talking about, the merit which have arisen or which has created from the virtuous actions of the my 3 doors, created or committed, created from my 3 doors. And that's the first 2 lines. And here that includes merit in the sense of merits of making offerings and so on and so forth. The sonam sonne gyabade dage kunjen sabente dala chamju mesesho. So these last 2 lines, dage kunjen sabente. So these merits become the seeds or the core, seeds or the causes. Sabun is seeds, literally, or causes. These merits become the causes. Me in the future, to experience, to actualize, fully awaken or omniscient. Here they are translated. Gunchen. Gunchen, literally it means knowing all. Gunchen, knowing all. And here translated omniscient. In other words, the virtues which are created through my body, speech, and mind, these virtues become the causes or seeds me to experience my future full enlightenment. That full enlightenment is, the quality of inexhaustible. The qualities of the fully awakened mind, fully awakened, or Buddha, which is inexhaustible, which is, so that's what here. So in other words, here the last 2 lines make, like part of the dedication, So in other words, part of the 7 practices, offerings, and the dedication, these 2 are not very explicitly mentioned in a particular verse, and the commentator, like that I'm reading, they comment on this verse, and also coming verse, there are these clear, there are these indication of offerings, and also what's called the dedication. So in other words, out of the 7 practices, 5 practices are very explicitly explained, and there are lines and verses to explain those practices. Offerings and the dedications, not very explicitly mentioned as a dedication verse or as an offering verse. However, this verse, this verse, which starting in English here, saying this verse which I read, now it's gone. Have both elements of the offerings. Offering comes from implicitly when it says the virtues created or accumulated through my 3 doors, body, speech, and mind, and that virtues comes from offerings, and so on and so forth. And the last 2 lines saying those virtues I've created become the seeds or the source or the causes to me to experience my the full enlightenment, which is which has inexhaustible qualities. And that's what here so that is the today's blah blah. So yeah, anyway, today I spent a little bit more in the repeating the previous 2 verses, but from next I will go a little bit faster. But it is not that long prayer. It is a relatively short prayer. Okay. So now we will do the praises to 21 paras. Bodalai nejone tami jambu lechungshi. Oba meje ula jen tesum sanje tenen. Doma koje shenso so tadang hami cheben. Shabji bemo la de pongba kong de. Doma yom la changse. Om je tse ma pa ma drama la changse. Changse drama nyuma pa mo. Jene keje la da da. Jigen sumbe chugi she je kasa je wa le ne jo. Changse dongge dawa gun do kawa jene jebe she. Kama dongda tsoba naman je rado chewe. Changse sengme chune je peme chame. Jemba zundu kato veshe wa soba samyen ju. Changze tejen shebe zu to taye nambara jawa che. Malu paru jimba to be jawe segi shindu ten. Changze duda rang yi ge duda choda. Jigden dumbo shabji nende luba meba guba. Changze jajen mela changba nula maso che. Chombo rana jesa namanda nyejun choje. Changze teje jadang pe je paru chubu rambu jo. Yegun yinjang shabgi nende mabara chubu shindo ba. Changze dure jiba chenbo duge bao namara jo. Chuge shene chonye denze chao tamje mo. Changze kunjo sunzen cha je seme toga namara. Malu choge kolo jenbe rangi je tsam Chanze rabdo gawa jebe ujen weje chama Sheba rapshe tuta raye duta jigden wangde Chanze saji kyongwe tso nam tamje goba neba Chone yewa yege honge kongba tamje namba Chanze tawe tombo ujen jenba tamje shinto para Ebe chone waba mele tabara shinto Chanze kebe tama me tara barwe tingwe wene Ejan yungu mukune koro ge jaye pune nambara chon Chanze sashi ngola chage keje nujin shabe don Chunye jenze ige honge rinpa dunbo namege Chanze tema gema shima nyangen deshin chuni Sowa omda yanda dembe tikwa chenpo chomba nye Chanze kune korwa kawe chaye lune nambarage Ige chubu ngane kube rikwa honge Chanze turi shamne dabe honge nambe nye Rira menda radang beje jikden sumna Chanze lai tsui nambe rida tajen chana Tara Niju Pedi Yig Duna Malu Panesem Chanze Lai Sonam Jego Hada Mem Chidem Gune Koja Gawa Chidi Tsuda Melwang Nebosem Chanze Nima Dawa Yebe Jini Pola Sem Hara Niju Tuda Rai Shindo Chagwe Sem Chanze Tini Sumnam Gobe Shive Tuda Yanda Dem De dang dong lang, nu jun so nam, jomba tu re ra chun. Zawe nga je de ba de tang, chang ze wang ne ni shu ca. Chang ju sem jo ren bon che, ma je pa na ma je ju. Je ba nyam ba me ba yang, kong ne kong du pe wa. Kare rave korve shingam so penda dewa manu jome jere sewa tenjin jazo shabe sede pato tenjo che. Oh yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you soon, sometime next week, and till then, take care.